Okay, here we go. A new video series where I will be breaking down and analysing every season of Friends. We'll be looking at every wedding.
You are the person I was meant to spend the rest of my life with.
Every love triangle, which there is a lot of.
Oi.
And every main plot line from the brilliant
You think you knew I was here?
to the naff.
Honey, I had such a wonderful time.
So grab a mug of coffee, sit back, relax, scratch your phalange if you must as we dive into it. This is Friends Season 1, an underrated beginning. Right, it seems kind of dumb to be using the word underrated at all when talking about Friends. It is without a doubt one of the most successful sitcoms of all time, one of the most successful TV shows that has continued to be enjoyed by multiple generations. However, when researching for this video, I found that most rankings place Season 1 pretty low, and although it has its rough points, we'll get to them later, I think it's slightly odd, because for a first season of a sitcom as well, something that is usually pretty patchy as creators find their feet, I think Friends is incredibly strong. And of course, it all starts with the pilot. I want to start this by saying I am not a Friends superfan. I enjoy it, I've spent far too many hours, days, years of my life watching it when either ill or bored or as a broke student wishing I can go to the pub again, but I don't think it's the funniest show in the world. That being said, the pilot, the one where Monica gets a roommate, is a masterclass in sitcom pilot writing. And that's not because it's the funniest episode ever, not even close, but it's so well crafted that it sets up all the foundations of the show. Firstly, character. The characters are realised almost immediately. Characters are always important in any fiction, but in comedy they are crucial. Viewers don't come back week after week for the plot like they might for a crime drama, but instead we return because we form a connection to the characters on screen. Comedy, I always find, is a very personal genre, and we need to find it relatable, especially with a show all about a friend group. The viewer needs to feel like the seventh friend, and that can only happen if we understand each member of the gang. To do this, the writers give each of the characters an archetype or a stereotypical trait to build from. We have the spoilt one, the quirky one, the cool guy who's a womanizer. And these aren't the full identity of these characters, but they act more like a foundation to build upon. And it's all there from their very first lines. Monica starts.
It's just some guy I work with.
She's the leader, or the ruler if you want. She's leading the conversation. Now leading is a trait that will define this character throughout, someone who likes control. Then Joey replies.
Come on, you're going out with the guy. There's got to be something wrong with him.
The funny cool one, he hasn't hidden his reply in sarcasm or anything, he's just said it as it is. Then Chandler.
So does he have a hump and a hairpiece?
Answers sarcastically, a trait that will also continue throughout the show. And then Phoebe, she answers and says something fucking nuts.
Wait, does he eat chalk?
Later on, Ross enters. He's unlucky in love, he's the most grown up one of the group, but he never catches a break. And then Rachel bursts in, and she kinda acts spoiled, even getting Ross to pour the sugar in for her. And there we go. The blueprint of Friends in a matter of minutes. Like I said, the characters will grow throughout the series, but these core elements are always there, and to capture that from the very beginning is an incredibly hard thing to do. Also, it doesn't fall into the trap that a lot of other sitcom writers accidentally find themselves in, which is relying entirely on jokes. A sitcom is not a stand-up routine, nor is it a joke book for the toilet that you buy your dad at Christmas because he's fucking hard to buy for. Luckily, I don't have this problem anymore, my dad is incredibly easy to buy for. Unfortunately, that is because he's dead, so, swings and roundabouts. Sitcoms and TV shows in general need plot. It can't just be a group of people rattling off jokes one after the other. They need storylines and story beats, and the opening of Friends sets it all up. So much is happening here. Not only do we establish tone and character, but we do this through establishing the plots of the episode and the season. Ross is going through a divorce. We learn that his wife left him because she's a lesbian, and this exposition is hidden through a joke. Very clever. Rachel has left Barry at the altar. She has literally run away from her past life. That is her entire arc for the season. Ross is incredibly awkward and nervous around her, and later it becomes obvious that he has a lifelong crush. And the first line of the show literally sets up Monica's plots for the episode. The very first line. That is not easy. It looks easy, it looks effortless, but that's only because of the work the creative team have put into it. And the rest of the pilot is really good too. I think I'd describe it as gentle, which is the perfect feeling for an episode 1 of a comedy like this. You want to establish the tone, that inviting feeling, and creating such an easy, watchable episode of telly is the perfect way to do that. Whenever I'm teaching writing, I recommend people to read the pilot script, even if they don't find Friends funny. Because honestly, that's not the bit to study. Instead, it's the way the script is crafted on a technical level and how it sets up 10 years of TV in 22 minutes. Season 1 of Friends is cosy. It's got that ultimate rainy day vibe. It's not heavily bogged down by years of storylines, it's not trying to be shocking or overly emotional, it just allows itself time to develop and breathe as a show. I find it a very comforting season, and I think that's due to the pacing. Although there are a lot of sitcom-esque storylines, it feels a little more grounded or natural in a way. Where future seasons will have more outlandish plots and wild premises, season 1 plots are smaller. For example, we have a whole episode about a blackout in New York, or Ross and Rachel doing laundry. Yes, we have the monkey, we'll get to the fucking monkey, but for the most part there's a naturalism to the show, heightened a little just to fit the genre. We see this in the character work too. Yes, Joey can be dumb at times, but he's not fucking stupid. Yes, Phoebe can be a bit quirky, but she understands human emotions and doesn't hate Chandler for no reason, which she kinda does in later seasons. Also, there just seems to be more emphasis on dialogue. With the plots being more grounded, a lot of the humour comes completely from the characters themselves rather than the outlandish scenarios that they find themselves in. They get to sit around and chat and interact a lot like a friend group, and again that just helps the viewer connect with them. And I know that sounds odd because it feels like Friends is always doing that, but actually in later seasons they try to split the gang up a lot quicker, sending pairs of them off into different storylines. Season 1 feels a little less structured. Sometimes they're all together or only one is outside the main plot. Other times there's 2 storylines going on, usually with characters being split up by gender. Other times you get the traditional 3 arcs, or one character will take centre stage. Episode 2 is a majority Ross-based episode. Even Monica's plot is about constantly being compared to Ross by her parents. There's just an easiness to this season, and I think one of the reasons Friends is still beloved today by so many is due to its simplicity. Nowadays a lot of new comedies fall into the comedy drama genre, finding humour in darker and more adult themes. And that's not a negative, by the way. I'm glad, it's the main thing I write. However, sometimes you want something easy or nostalgic or a sense of escapism, and I think season 1 offers that in buckets. The main plot thread through season 1 of Friends is 100% Ross and Rachel. All the other plots, such as Rachel with Barry or with Paolo, all come back to that will they won't they. And I'll be honest, I have my issues with a will they won't they storyline, mainly because I think shows tend to drag them out forever. Also, a lot of the time shows become too scared to actually write the sadder, more realistic storyline of won't they. That being said, in season 1, it works. Maybe it's the escapism thing or I'm just having a stroke, but I kinda love it. It's that subtlety again. The writers don't have to bend over backwards to find reason 110 for keeping them apart. Here it's kind of easier and normal. Rachel gets boyfriends or Ross is nervous, and the plots allow for that subtlety too. As I've already mentioned, there's a whole storyline with them doing laundry. Fucking laundry, the most boring adult task other than paying taxes, and yet the show makes it work. There's a sweetness to it, a feeling that so many people can relate to, that nervous energy you get around your crush, and the writers, along with David Schwimmer and Jennifer Aniston, capture that so well. Sitcom silliness met with grounded believability. I love that. The other main plot lines are probably Ross becoming a dad and Rachel finding her independence. I think Ross becoming a dad is handled really well. We spend enough time with it to form a connection, but not too much that he feels like an outsider of the group. I also really like how Carol and Susan are written this season. Yes, every joke usually comes back to them being lesbians, oh the 90s, but they feel a little more developed than your average sitcom side character. They have their own sense of humour. Susan is incredibly sarcastic and bitter, while Carol is a little more natural and down to earth. Rachel's independence is balanced really well too. It doesn't feel rushed, but neither does it feel completely static. Obviously with sitcoms, the majority of the time you kinda need to reset things. Characters can't learn too many lessons, otherwise the show itself changes. So I think they do a good job at showing us Rachel's growth slowly, but keeping the tone they'd established in episode 1. And you'll notice that I haven't spoken much about each individual character yet, and that's because we've got 10 videos to make about this show. We'll get to all that when needed. All I will say for now is Ross is an arsehole, and that's why he's my favourite. I won't be divulging any more information at this current time. Sometime in the early 90s, a group of writers sat around a large table pitching storyline ideas. One of these paid writers suggested giving Ross a pet monkey, and all the other paid writers were pissed as a fart and said yes, resulting in Marcel. I never understood it. I don't even know if I hate it, I just don't understand it.
Compels me though.
Why? First, why was this pitched? Secondly, why did they go with it? And thirdly, why is he around for so long? Like, the plot Ross gets a monkey sounds like a one-off storyline from a sitcom that has been running for years and years and they can't think of anything else. But it's a main story throughout the season. The first season. And I don't mind that it's stupid, this is a sitcom after all, but it just feels so incredibly different to everything else this season. Like, I know Phoebe finds a thumb in a can of Coke at one point, but she doesn't keep the fucking thumb. It's just such an insane plot for the first season, and I know it, they know it. The show makes fun of it later on. And that's all I've really got to say about it. I don't really have an opinion other than it's fucking nuts. Even the synopsis on Netflix is wild. The gang make and then breaks a pact to celebrate New Year's Eve without dates. So far, so normal. That sounds like a standard sitcom plot. Lonely Ross gets a roommate, a monkey named Marcel. What the fuck do you mean? I kind of like how ridiculous it is. Maybe I like it. I don't think I like it, but maybe. The other low points, like any sitcom, are just some of the episodes are a bit weak. I think the one with 2 parts overstays its welcome. I've never liked the one with the boobies, just because I don't find Joey's mum or dad that interesting. The one with the monkey gets away is one of my favourite jokes of the season.
Oh God, Ross, I cannot do this.
Okay, quick and painful.
But most of it I find boring. I don't like the monkey. I've decided I don't like the monkey. However, even with these low points, I wouldn't call any of the episodes this season dreadful. I think they've all got something to offer and usually have a lot of good gags running throughout. There are some brilliant pieces of writing this season. The one with all the poker is great, once again crafting a simple storyline that shows off all the individual characters' traits and sense of humours. The one where Nana dies twice is just a pure sitcom through and through, and it allows us to see a different side of Joey's masculine laddie behaviour, while David's Trummer gets to do some brilliant physical comedy. The one with the blackout is really good. The one with the birth balances humour and heart incredibly well, creating a touching story that never drifts too far into soppiness, and in my opinion, like any good show, they save the best to last. The one where Rachel finds out is another masterclass in sitcom writing, combining many different plot lines to create a wonderfully witty and fast-paced comedy full of gags, emotion and reveals. The audience has been waiting all season for Rachel to find out about Ross's feelings. This moment, if handled badly, would have ruined the entire season arc. It would have left a bitter taste in the viewer's mouth and may have put a lot of people off from watching season 2. Moments that have been built up over time have to hit the mark, especially in the show's early days. Luckily, it's written and played perfectly. It's just a great emotional payoff full of humour. Chandler being the one to screw it up is perfect, it's a little misdirect. You'd probably assume it would be Joey or Phoebe that accidentally says something, so making it Chandler just adds to the comedy of it all. And once again, the character work is so consistent. Not a single line feels out of place. These characters feel so natural and real. All their traits, being spoilt, being a little dumb, quirky, whatever, they're all still there, but they don't feel overly obvious or like a trope of the show. And the way this episode continues to tease us with the will they won't they is lovely. I like that Rachel is unsure at first and keeps changing her mind. It makes for some lovely tension that runs underneath all the jokes. It makes you wait, it makes you want to keep watching. It really feels like this season respects and is having just as much fun writing the arcs as they are writing the jokes. And the little cliffhanger, perfect. Nothing too major, but enough to keep you wanting more. I can't imagine many people watched this episode and didn't come back for season 2. It's again a simple story executed incredibly well. Season 1 of Friends may not be the best season of the show, but honestly there'd be something wrong if it was. However, I do think it's one of the most comforting. I used the word cosy earlier and I think that's the perfect way to describe it. It feels familiar and a little rustic at times, which gives it a certain charm that future seasons don't have. I know we all like polished and prestige telly, but I have such a soft spot for these slightly smaller, little rough around the edges TV shows, and season 1 is that. Also, it's a wonderful lesson for writers. The way it crafts character and captures them completely within the first 5 minutes and never loses it throughout the 24 episode run is kind of remarkable. Also, the way it balances the dialogue and the witty exchanges while still spending time on the plot and the running arcs is another lesson that a lot of writers can learn from. Now, I know this video has been quite short, but honestly, if they're anything like my current Doctor Who breakdowns, they will get longer and longer. There's just not a lot to analyse this season. It's just a good sitcom. That's it, and that's all it needed to be. Do comment below your best and worst episode. For me, the best episode is the one where Rachel finds out, and the worst is the one where the monkey gets away. I don't like the monkey. I've decided I do not like the monkey. Next time we are exploring season 2. We'll dive deeper into the Ross and Rachel storyline, how the show tends to treat love interests, and why I think Ross might secretly be British.